Shadow Chancellor accuses Conservatives of reckless financial pledges amid election blunders. As the United Kingdom gears up for a snap general election on July 4, Labour's Shadow Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, has launched a scathing attack on the ruling Conservative Party, accusing them of making unfunded spending commitments worth £64 billion in a desperate attempt to salvage their floundering campaign. Speaking to The Observer, Reeves asserted that the Tories' pledges to slash taxes, including national insurance, income tax, and inheritance tax, are reminiscent of Liz Truss's disastrous mini-budget and demonstrate that the Conservatives have failed to learn from her catastrophic tenure as Prime Minister. Labour's relentless efforts to portray the Conservatives as a party in disarray, making reckless financial promises, have been fueled by a series of early campaign blunders by Rishi Sunak and his party. The internal Tory turmoil stems from widespread anger over Sunak's decision to call an early election, a move many MPs believe was premature and did not allow sufficient time for improved economic news to register with voters. The blunders included a PR nightmare during a visit to Belfast's Titanic Quarter, where several senior Tory MPs announced their resignations. Several Tories have admitted that their own party, not Labour, was caught off guard by Sunak's decision to go to the country early. A senior Tory source lamented, "It's quite staggering that we've managed to call a snap election that took ourselves by surprise. I just feel sorry for the professionals in the party machine who will be watching all this with their head in their hands. These arrogant men and women from number 10 turn up and think they're brilliant at politics. It's staggering arrogance," the source continued. It had been apparent to people inside the government for a long time that some of the number 10 operation in general was just extremely inexperienced and showed repeated bad judgment. That's just been exposed for the entire country. The problem is we've got a cycle now where he's in danger of becoming hapless. Among the senior Tory figures who are said to have been consulted on the election date are Deputy Prime Minister Oliver Dowden, Chief of Staff Liam Booth-Smith, Advisor James Forsyth, and Sunak's close cabinet ally, Claire Coutinho. Sunak is also reported to have disregarded the advice of his campaign chief, Isaac Levito, who had recommended an autumn election. In an effort to salvage his campaign, Sunak took a helicopter owned by a millionaire Conservative donor to fly from his constituency in North Yorkshire to London, before appearing at a hastily arranged campaign trip in South London. This move came after The Guardian revealed that Sunak had been planning to spend the day away from the campaign trail following a string of disastrous days. In an interview with the Daily Telegraph, Chancellor Jeremy Hunt described inheritance tax as profoundly anti-conservative, hinting at a desire to scrap it, while also promising additional moves to cut national insurance and, for the first time, floating the idea of ending the effective 60% income tax rate on those earning between £100,000 and £125,140. Reeves argues that collectively these moves, along with suggestions that the Tories would scrap £4 billion of green levies, total £64 billion, or £2,270 for each household, in unfunded commitments. After a chaotic start to their campaign, the Conservatives are now throwing around billions of pounds of unfunded tax cuts in a desperate attempt to cling on to power, Reeves said. Rishi Sunak and Jeremy Hunt's behavior is not only desperate, but also reckless and irresponsible and shows they have learned absolutely nothing from Liz Truss's disastrous mini-budget that crashed the economy. The past 72 hours are the clearest sign yet that the biggest threat to the economy is 5 more years of Conservative chaos, Reeves added. Labour is using the Conservatives' campaign Woes to portray itself as the party of fiscal responsibility and security, targeting middle-class voters who have traditionally supported the Tories. Reeves emphasized, Labour has changed. We are the party of sound money. Labour's first step for change is to deliver economic stability with tough spending rules to grow the economy and keep taxes, inflation, and mortgages as low as possible. While the Conservatives appear to be on the brink of a campaign crisis, they may draw some encouragement from the latest opinion poll for The Observer, which shows Labour's lead has narrowed by 4 percentage points since last week to 14%. However, Labour's campaign chief, Pat McFadden, has warned against complacency, urging voters to recognize the Conservatives as a threat to the country. The Tories have had a rocky start, but they will get their turn, they will get their act together, they will have good days, we will have bad days in the campaign, McFadden said. Nobody should think the next 6 weeks is going to be exactly like the last couple of days. Downing Street is also facing criticism for failing to stem the flow of senior Tory MPs stepping down from marginal seats that they could have helped to retain. Michael Gove, Andrea Leadsom, and Greg Clark were among the latest to resign last week. Back in 1997, there was an operation where MPs in winnable seats were told that it was going to be a hard election and we needed to hold as many as possible. They grumpily agreed to stand again, said one former minister. That hasn't happened this time, so we have lost that extra power incumbency gives you. That's the frustration.